Hey,
Alex Honnold,
Rafael.
Tommy Caldwell, thanks
Good to
for
meet you.
being with me. How you doing?
Good,
Great.
good.
How are you?
Good, good. Where are you guys?
I'm in my closet at home.
In Colorado?
No, I live in Las Vegas, best climber in
Oh,
the
okay.
country.
Yeah, I'm in my van outside of my home because my family is crazy in the house.
So
Yeah.
you are in Colorado, right, Tommy?
No, I just moved to Lake Tahoe in California. We're trying it
Oh,
out for
okay,
6 months right
okay.
now. Yeah.
I thought you live in Colorado because you start the adventure from Colorado to the Devil's Thumb, right? In the documentary.
Yeah, no, I was born and raised and have lived almost my whole life in Colorado. So, yeah, that was right.
So amazing adventure. And the first question I have for you guys is the Devil's Thumb, that is a mountain that I didn't know about before I watched this doc. Uh, some parts were never climbed before. You were attempting something that hasn't been done before. What makes it so difficult, challenging?
Well, one of the big challenges with the Devil's Thumb is just that it's so remote and it has notoriously bad weather. Like the weather is always bad. And historically, it was sort of famous for the glaciers and icefall and avalanches and sort of like the that aspect of the mountain. Though we found that when we got there, a lot of the glaciers are retreated. Like basically, climate change has severely impacted the peak, and so it's very different than the sort of historic peak that we've read stories about.
And you told me you tried this challenge after a very bad injury, and you talk about that in the documentary. Almost 2 years to recover, right? And also you were 45. Can you tell a little bit about that? How this challenge was way more difficult because of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was with this trip, I was looking for something that would like fit where I am in life. Like my physical rock climbing ability really probably declined because of my injury. I didn't climb for 2 years. And so really hard rock climbing, you have to be so attuned and strong and trained in these specific ways that take like constant, like daily climbing. And I just simply hadn't been able to do that. But I knew that I could still suffer, I knew that I could still adventure. That stuff is more built on like experience and pain tolerance. And so our choice to bike all the way from Colorado was that it was something that I could kind of, you know, heal from my injury because I was pumping so much blood through my body from biking for 24 days to get there. But the physical climbing aspect was a little bit easier than what Alex and I generally do. And so it kind of suited me perfectly.
Basically, I think we are in an golden age of documentary, right? In the last decade at least, or a little bit more. And especially in climbing, there have been amazing dogs. And obviously, Free Solo is one of them, Alex, if not the most popular one. But I'm curious, what makes a documentary about climbing successful first, and if this golden age of the climbing documentary has changed the approach of how you guys see the sport.
That's interesting. I mean, I think one of the reasons that climbing films have been so successful is that they resonate well with people. I mean, I think that anytime the protagonist has a clear goal, they work hard, they set out to achieve their goal, and then it helps that climbing documentaries are all in the most beautiful places on earth. So it's like you're seeing a very clear challenge in a beautiful place. It's just I don't know. I think that's kind of the essence of good television, like good story. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting to hear you say that it's a golden age of documentary filmmaking. I think that part of that with climbing films might just be technological improvements that cameras have gotten so much better and it's light enough that you can access these kinds of locations. Like for example, with the Devil's Climb, there was a lot of drone work, and drones now are small enough, light enough, and high enough quality that you can make great film. But I mean, they were flying drones from like literally miles away on different mountains. And as we're climbing along these tiny little spires, they're drones circling that have flown like literally miles to come over and get close to us. And then they're getting incredible footage. And you're sort of like, well, that just wasn't possible 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll riff on that a lot. I really like your question, actually. This is an interesting one to me. Like, I think as climbers, like we do these like sporting things. Most sports films historically, I think, have focused on like like the sport itself. Climbing is kind of a boring sport to watch in some ways. It's like pretty slow, and it's also in really remote locations. And so the technical logical advances have allowed us to tell stories about climbing, but really it's always been human stories. It's not really about the climbing, it's about the people. And climbing in climbing you go through these transformative human experiences like with a friend. That's what we've done our whole lives. And so the fact that film has been able to capture that has really engaged people and made the world of climbing films like like people are struck by it in a way that's really changed climbing in some ways. And I think they're starting to do that in other sports too, like all these documentary films about Formula One or the Tour de France or whatever. They're all kind of about the sport, but they're really focusing in on the humans involved in the sport. And that's why I think that they're becoming so engaging and kind of changing all of these sports in a way.
Yeah, and in this documentary, I mean the 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 climbing part is like probably the last third of the movie. The first two thirds is about what you're talking about, right? And the trip that you take to get there, like biking and sailing. That is, I think I really enjoy that part too. And
Yeah.
there is a quote. I think it's yours, Tommy, but I think both would agree that you say that we could climb things together that we would never climb individually. And is that like a technical thing that when you pair for climbing, you can go like to more difficult things, go faster, or is there something else that you need like the support of the other person to improve your climbing?
I think it's not that we couldn't climb them individually, it's that we wouldn't be able to climb some of these objectives with other partners. It's like I think that the two of us climbing together, we're just able to do things that, I mean, there just aren't that many other people that climb in this way, and so it's hard to find other partners who are capable of doing some of these things. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I also think it's just more fun to do it together. Like I think that going on a 2 month journey, like my original plan was to kind of do this trip alone and then meet up with a couple partners along the way. But after doing it with Alex the whole time, I was like, that was just way better to do it that way. Like the whole like going through that much like physical pain and just like the length of the trip was just made so much more manageable because I was doing it with a good friend.
And lastly, knowing you guys from the films, I'm sure you is in your mind to climb the north face of the Devil's Thumb. Is that
No,
is that like something you would like to do or not?
I think
Mm.
both of us were sort of like, oh, that's cool, but not worth the risk, not worth the also just like the fickle weather. I mean, we got super lucky on this expedition, but in general, it's the worst weather. And so to go there to climb something that's notoriously dangerous like that, I think both of us are kind of like, do we need that? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to go look. Like the northwest face of the Devil's Thumb is in some ways they consider it the last great prize in North American alpinism, like the thing that people haven't figured out how to climb. And so I wanted to have a look at that, to see if it really, and some people think it's unclimbable, and I wanted to have a look at that. I think once we did get a look at it, we're like, it just doesn't quite check all the boxes. Like it's a little too dangerous and it's like not quite good enough of a route to make it worth it to actually go and climb it. But for somebody else, it might be totally worth it and it might be a great thing.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Congratulations on the documentary and on this amazing challenge.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.